Hello, and welcome to the virtual public meeting for Border Highway East Corridor Study. I'm Texas Department of Transportation El Paso District Engineer Tomas Trevino. TxDOT seeks to find a unified vision around improving mobility within the study area. The mobility concepts that engineers are considering feature a possible 20-mile-long extension of the Cesar Chavez Border Highway from Loop 375 Americas Avenue to FM 3380 Manny Aguilera Road in Tornillo. New roadways of this magnitude take years to plan and construct. Our intention is to keep you at the center of the planning process. So in this virtual meeting recording, we will show you some mobility concepts and we want your feedback. Thank you again for getting involved today, and please remember to submit your questions and comments by Thursday, May 16, 2024. We look forward to improving mobility together. Thank you.
Before we start our virtual public meeting, TxDOT wants to ask you for your help in ending the streak of daily deaths on Texas highways. November 7th, 2000 was the last deathless day on state roadways in Texas. Please slow down, buckle up, pay attention, and never drive under the influence of alcohol or other drugs. Thank you for being a safe driver. Thank you for joining us for this meeting of the Border Highway East Corridor Study. We want to emphasize that this is a study only. Any proposed potential projects to emerge from this study will have to go through its own process with its own public meetings, would require clearance under the National Environmental Protection Act, and obtain funding to become reality. The following information shows how the study team arrived at the conceptual alternatives being featured at today's meeting. These are concepts only, and we rely on public input for guidance. Thank you. Station 1. Study Area Existing Conditions. The Border Highway East study area includes a range of current conditions from small local businesses to farmland and includes historical and environmental features. It has narrow roads that were designed long ago to serve a rural community, at-grade railroad crossings that lead to delays for drivers, passenger vehicles competing with commercial semi-trucks, and a lack of pedestrian and multimodal facilities. This map defines the study area for the Border Highway East Corridor Study and illustrates how the area has changed and will continue to change in terms of population and employment. Population increase directly impacts usage of existing roadways. As part of the study, we look at the number of individuals employed and how they travel to work. The study area shows an 18% increase in population and a 36% increase in employment for the area. More people are living here, working here, and driving here compared to 7 years ago. The population and employment increases are expected to continue into the future according to data obtained from the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization. Some of the key environmental constraints to consider when assessing mobility in the study area include cultural sites such as historical districts and the Isleta del Sur Pueblo, natural habitats including the Rio Bosque wetlands, and water resources such as drainage canals and reservoirs, which are extensive. TxDOT will work to avoid and/or minimize negative impacts to the area's assets as part of the development of any future project. Station 2. Community Collaboration. The Border Highway East Corridor Study is an initiative by which TxDOT seeks to find a unified vision around improving mobility in the study area. That means central to the study is the community, people who live and work in the study area. Community input has been crucial to this effort, as the need for mobility improvements has been apparent for decades. TxDOT has been studying parts of this corridor since 1997, and those studies included public meetings, agency meetings, personal interviews with community leaders, technical working groups, and most recently in 2023, a listening tour with 35 key stakeholders. The Border Highway East study team tallied community comments and 12 themes emerged as most important to participants. Traffic flow/connectivity was most often mentioned by stakeholders. Safety was second. Tying for third place, multimodal and sprawl. Right-of-way, freight, and planning followed. Other emerging themes included economic development, port of entry, environmental, aesthetics, and drainage. This does not mean that one theme is more important than any other. This chart reflects the topics that are top of mind for people in the study area. Each of these themes was taken into consideration in the development of the concepts you will see here today. Station 3. Goals and measures for scoring concepts. As part of this station, you will be asked to take a survey. Your input will contribute to TxDOT's weighting for the study's goals and objectives. The development of the Border Highway East Corridor Study concepts has been guided by a set of goals that planners based on past studies as well as from stakeholders. The goals for this study are to find ways to increase mobility and access, enhance economic competitiveness, foster stewardship, prioritize safety, enhance environmental sustainability, and achieve equitable outcomes. These goals represent achievable, long-term, measurable outcomes. This illustration is a high-level depiction of the concepts that are being featured at today's meeting. That means locations are approximate and should not be viewed as definitive. You will notice that the first segment of the 20-mile-long concept poses 3 variations for connecting to Loop 375, Americas Avenue. As shown in the enlarged inset, the 3 variations are depicted in blue representing Concept 1, orange representing Concept 2, and green representing Concept 3. Segment 1, from Loop 375 to approximately Nuevo Hueco Tanks, has been adopted into the 30-year Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which is a document created by the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization. That means Segment 1 could conceivably be built sometime within the next 30 years. Please know this study is an early planning effort, meaning no project has been identified at this time, no funding is identified for any part of the conceptual alternatives, and no effects to property can be definitively determined at this time. TxDOT uses a scoring system to determine which concepts best fulfill the purpose and need and the needs of the residents. This table shows how each concept scored in terms of how the goals and objectives are met. At the bottom, you can see Concepts 1 and 2 scored 11 points for performance. Concept 3 scored 10 points. You may push pause at this slide to read the measures of effectiveness and look more closely at the points. There is a column labeled Weight. This is where your feedback helps influence the total score for each concept. For example, if a majority of people say that safety should be given priority over mobility, then study planners will give more weight to safety as compared to mobility. On the next slide, you'll be asked to participate in a survey that asks you to prioritize the study's goals. You may take the survey using your phone to scan the QR code. The survey contains one required question. The survey is also accessible from the Border Highway East Study webpage. To access the webpage, go to www.txdot.gov and enter into the search box Border Highway East Corridor Study. Station 4. Traffic Analysis. This slide illustrates how Border Highway East could relieve traffic on parallel highways. This graphic shows the projected reduction in annual daily traffic in both directions on parallel roadways after construction of the Border Highway East. The reductions in traffic vary from a 5% decrease on I-10 to a potential 60% decrease on Socorro Road. It is important to note that this illustration assumes that all potential interchanges are constructed and associated local roads are extended, such as Nuevo Hueco Tanks Road and Tiwa Boulevard. This illustration reinforces the fact that a border highway east alone, without any connections to local roads, will not be effective to reduce traffic loads on other roads. A network or grid of roads in combination with a border highway east is needed to alleviate traffic congestion. In this analysis, level of service tells us how well traffic is moving through an intersection. Levels A and B represent good flow with minimal delays. Levels C and D represent moderate delays, similar to when we approach red lights along a corridor and slow down due to traffic. But these delays are still generally manageable. Long delays or heavy congestion, represented by levels E and F, is what happens during rush hour when cars can be backed up and it takes longer to get through an intersection. This data helps our engineers understand how well intersections are functioning in the study area currently with the no-build identification and how they will improve with the Border Highway East expansion noted by the build identification. Again, this build scenario assumes that all potential interchanges are constructed and associated local roads are extended to create a connective network of roads in combination with the Border Highway East. Station 5. Concepts. The conceptual layouts are central to today's public meeting. There are 6 layouts that show the highway concepts. The layouts are available on the study's web page. The QR code will take you to the web page, or you may also get to the web page by visiting www.TxDOT.gov and enter Border Highway East Study into the search field. We ask you to access the layouts from the web page because the files are too large for placement in this video. The web page address will be displayed again at the end of this presentation. This image is a typical section that shows how the conceptual Border Highway East would be similar to the Cesar Chavez Border Highway. The Border Highway East would not have frontage roads, and there would be a wide inside shoulder for a future third lane if needed. This image shows a typical T-bent section to illustrate how the conceptual Border Highway East would traverse over an area needing to be grade separated. The vertical clearance would be approximately 18 feet. This exhibit emphasizes that the Border Highway East needs interchanges and the connections to the surface roads to address traffic congestion. Without those interchanges and connections, the Border Highway East alone would not be effective at improving traffic flow. This exhibit shows where interchanges could potentially be placed along the different concepts. Interchanges at Nuevo Hueco Tanks Road and Tiwa Boulevard Extension would not occur until the local municipalities first extend those surface roads to reach TxDOT's conceptual Border Highway East. TxDOT cannot extend them because they are not state highways. Other potential interchanges at Loop 375, at FM 258 near Cougar Park, at FM 1110, and at MF Aguilera Road near Tornillo could be advanced by TxDOT with the support of the local municipalities, elected officials, and people who live and work in the areas. Station 6. Submit your comments. We need your input to influence how alternatives are scored for their effectiveness. Comments may be submitted in any of the following ways. Leave a voicemail on the Border Highway East phone line at 844-243-3325. That's 844-243-3325. Send an email to borderhighwayeast@txdot.gov. Or mail your comments to TxDOT El Paso District, attention Gus Sanchez, 13301 Gateway Boulevard West, El Paso, Texas, 79928. Comments submitted by postal mail should be postmarked by May 16, 2024. No matter which way you decide to submit, the comment period will be open through May 16th. And just a reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to go to the Border Highway East Study webpage to access the conceptual layouts. You can get to the study webpage by scanning the QR code or go to www.TxDOT.gov and search using keywords Border Highway East Study. Thank you once again for getting involved with TxDOT's Border Highway East Corridor Study.